Final play of the game. Watch Tevin Coleman. Cut the ball off. Go Julio. He's out of bounds. Let's go. There you go. Bringing it right into the player grades on the last play of the game. Thank God that second half kind of picked it up because that was just an embarrassing opener. That was an embarrassing opener more so for Atlanta, though, because Philly still doesn't – we still don't have our team. We don't have Carson Wentz. We don't have Alshon Jeffrey. We don't have Nigel Bradham. Don't have Timmy Jernigan. Those are all four – obviously, those are four of our best players. This was Atlanta. This was full-strength Atlanta Falcons. This is the Falcons team that has aspirations of winning the Super Bowl. And, again, their drunk offensive coordinator can't call shit in the red zone. I feel bad for Falcons. I do not dislike the Falcons. But – you fire Sarkisian, man. He's so bad in the red zone. I mean, Matt Ryan did not have a good game by any means. I think a big part of that, and it's got to go under the rug that it was Matt Ryan having a bad game. A big part of that was the Philadelphia Eagles defensive line was pushing their shit in. He had pressure in his face all game long. The Philadelphia Eagles corners were playing good. Darby played good. Pretty much every corner that wasn't Jalen Mills, and even Jalen Mills, I think he's one of the bigger reasons why Calvin Ridley was pretty quiet. Oh, man, 1-0, and we don't even have our team back yet. Oh, let's go. I was getting ready to have like an absolute rage fest if Philly wasn't able to pull that one out. But, I mean, even if Philly lost that game, I still saw all the things that said when Carson Wentz comes back, when we get Alshon Jeffrey, look out. I mean, that game was ugly on both sides, but we're the ones that are missing all of our players. That was a Falcons team that, you know, let's be honest, you list the top 5 teams in the NFC. Falcons are probably at that 5 spot, maybe 4. You probably go, Rams at 2, Vikings at 3, Saints at 3, Vikings at 4, some combination like that, and then you go into the next group of, you know, are we going to say the 49ers, going to say the Falcons, so on and so, Panthers, Packers. But, I want to know, baby, that's all that matters. Philly didn't have to win this game pretty. That's kind of what I'm trying to get at. Atlanta had all their starters. They should have – I predicted Philly probably going to lose this game. Now, I made sure I had the little small print being that I don't want to have 16 videos of me saying the Eagles are going to win every single week. That'd get a little redundant. Sometimes I'm going to have to kind of lean towards a loss, and I was kind of going in the direction of this one. If you guys watch my preview video, I was like 90% correct. Outside of the Falcons having a lead in halftime, almost everything I called was going to happen. And I'm not trying to, buff up my ego or anything like that, but I've been an Eagles fan for quite some time. I said in the first half, offense was going to look really sloppy because we didn't have any chemistry or really anyone playing together in the preseason. I said that the Atlanta Falcons were going to look a little bit more confident on the offensive side of the ball, which they did, very true truth. And I said Philly was going to come out in the second half, look much better offensively, and maybe squeak out a victory depending on how big the deficit was from the first half. Check. All those things happened. We saw the Eagles go back to Philly, the Philly special. This time it was Nelson Agholor throwing it to Nick Foles. I'll be completely honest with you, understanding that my expectations were still that Philly would win, but I was much more prepared this week than, say, other weeks that Philly could lose. Even if they did lose, the fact that they busted out that Philly special play was, I probably would have been all right. I wouldn't have any issue going to sleep tonight. But today is these videos here. The post game is kind of me giving my thoughts and ultimately player grades. So let's jump into the player grades. Looking at Nick Foles, 19 of 34, 117 yards, and he had an interception that wasn't his fault. It was I guess we'll say it on Goddard. I felt like it was just more fluky than anything. It was a laser Dallas Goddard. He got popped, ball came out, and Deion Jones was able to pick it out. I mean, Nick Foles did what he had to do. Ultimately, when it comes down to it, did he look bad? Yeah. Did he look worse than Matt Ryan? No. Did he outplay an actual starter? Yep. And did he do enough, like the 15-10 playoff victory for the Eagles, to get the victory? Yep, that's all Nick Foles needed to do. We didn't need Nick Foles to come in here and prove that he can be a franchise quarterback. We didn't need Nick Foles to come in here and light it up like he did in the Super Bowl against the Patriots. All we needed was Nick Foles to come in, move the chains, control the game, and get the victory. And that's exactly what he did. So I'm not going to be overly critical when I talk about Nick Foles' grade. I was going to give him a C+, but because he executed the Philly special again, I'm giving him a B-. Looking at the run game. Oh, we started out early on the hashtag Fire Deuce Staley train. Started it last year. I actually probably started back when we had Ryan Matthews and DeMarco Murray as our running backs. I'm so glad Deuce Staley did not get promoted to the offensive coordinator with Mike Rowe. Deuce Staley sucks, man. I get that he's a former Eagle player. I get that he can have his moments. But his running back rotation is costing this offense. It's clearly a running back by committee. Everyone is going to get their fair share during the game. That's never been my problem with Deuce Staley. Problem with Deuce Staley is Doug lets him control the running back rotation, who comes in, who comes out. And it's literally whoever gets a hot hand at the running back spot, Deuce Staley's going to yank him out. I remember Jay Ajayi had a big run. And then 2 plays later, Wendell Smallwood's in. Jay Ajayi's healthy. He's not hurt. He had an injury midweek. He looked fine in that game. So the rotation was disgusting. Darren Sproles, 5. He only had 10 yards. I think he had 4 catches for 22. But he moved the chains. I think 2 of those, he had 2 big third down conversions. He looked good. I'm glad to have him back in the lineup. Nelson Agholor had a little gimmicky play. Corey Clement, 5 rushes, 26 yards. He had a long of 21. That was on third down. That was beautiful. Set up the Jay Ajayi touchdown. But Jay Ajayi led the backfield, 15 carries, 62 yards, 2 touchdowns. Ultimately, when we were all said and done, I think the running back touches, maybe a couple more for Clement, but he was struggling a little bit in that game. So it's one of those things, man. If you don't watch the Eagles games and you just look at the box score, you're not really going to see what I'm particularly coming from when I'm talking about Deuce Staley's running back rotation. Because you'll see Jay Ajayi get an 11-yard run, after a bunch of just lackadaisical runs or just nothing, no gainers from Darren Sproles or Corey Clement. But as soon as Jay Ajayi runs for 11 yards, he's getting ready to go back in the huddle. You see him walking off the field. And it's so frustrating. But ultimately, Jay Ajayi is getting the game ball on the offensive side of the ball because we can't give it to the O-line. 2 touchdowns, hard runner. I kind of regret just ignoring Jay Ajayi in all of my fantasy leagues. He was one player that I just said I'm not touching. I'm not touching anyone in that Philadelphia Eagles backfield outside of Corey Clement in my keeper leagues because I think he might be the running back one next year, lead dog. But Jay Ajayi, I'm giving the run game as a whole, like the whole group of them. I'd give them a B, but I'm going to give Jay Ajayi a B+. Looking at the receivers, non-existent. The passing game wasn't existent. Zach Ertz had 5 catches for 48 yards. Nelson Agholor doing his best Jarvis Landry impression, 8 catches, 33 yards. Darren Sproles, 4 for 22. Foles had 1 catch, 15 yards. Dallas Goedert only 1 catch, 4 yards. If he didn't have the interception, he probably would have had 2 catches for 20. But, it was just an ugly game, man, and the refs sucked ass. The refs sucked the flow to the game. They had the injuries. They're not injury sliders, but they had the penalty sliders on 107 if we're putting in Madden terms. The receiving group as a whole, there wasn't a lot of bad drops, but it wasn't a great effort, so I'm just going to give it a C as a whole here. But, there's only so much you can do when you don't have Mac Hollins, who got put on IR literally right before the game. You don't have Alshon Jeffrey, who's definitely our best wide receiver. It really does change up the dynamic a little bit. Mike Wallace didn't do anything. He had 2 plays downfield. Not the best balls, but also, Torrey Smith. For much as we shit on Torrey Smith probably would have caught at least one of those 2 deep balls that Mike Wallace had a chance at. So receivers are getting a C. Kicking game was fine. Johnston was huge, 52.2 yards per kick. So I'm going to give the special teams unit, outside of, I don't know what the fuck Trey Sullivan was doing when he engaged with the Dolphins blockers and they pushed him into the ball. That was a turnover there. That was definitely the worst play for the Philadelphia Eagles. And Sullivan's cut. He's literally on the roster for 1 week because that trade we made with the Bears to get DeAndre Hall, he's definitely taken Trey Sullivan's spot. So that was kind of annoying. But all in all, I'll give special teams, I'll give them a B-. And then we look at defense. Defense, A+. This defense was phenomenal. Outside of literally Jalen Mills, who got beat once, but he had ups and downs. There was good and bad. Roddy McLeod had a nightmare of a game, man. He had 1 nice little tackle for loss, but on that 2 drop picks, one of them was just horrific. I said on Twitter, man, thank God. What good teammates. Everyone knows Philly has the culture. Nigel Bradham, who has bricks for hands, can't get an interception to save his life. Very nice of Roddy McLeod when Nigel Bradham suspended for 1 game, stepping in, saying, you know what, I'll be that guy with bricks for hands on defense. We got Jordan Hicks had 6 tackles, a sack and a half. Beautiful. Have him in my IDP league. Darby had a shutdown game. Sidney Jones was great. Chris Long had 4 tackles, a sack and a half. Fletcher Cox was dominant. Sack for him. Camus Grugier-Hill was impressive. Nate Jerry almost had an insane interception. Rasul Douglas. That 1,000 IQ play from Jim Swartz. He subbed out Darby, who I don't think was hurt. They just took him out for 1 play on third down. They put in Rasul, and everyone's like, oh, look, Rasul's in on fucking, I don't know, Julio Jones. And then Rasul gets an interception that first play. That was hype as shit. I got Rasul on Xbox. Hopefully, we can party chat sometime. Hit me up just to chat. Truly yours, a big fan. It's C4. So yeah, a game ball on the defensive side. You always give out 3 game balls. So on offensive side, we're giving it to Jay Ajayi. Defensively, I'm gonna give it to Chris Long gets 1, And honestly, man, I'm going to give it to Darby because Darby was, kind of a question mark. He had ups and downs. I mean, Hicks had a monster game. Fletcher Cox was dominant. But I think I'm going to give the two other game balls. Chris Long, man, he looked unstoppable, made huge plays all game. And Darby did a pretty good job, man, when Julio Jones was on his side. So those are my 3 game balls. And we're on to Tampa Bay. Nick, we look at the Falcons team that we've played. We should have a lot of confidence that with Nick Foles for another week that we can get the job done in Tampa Bay. I guess the question now comes, how long is Carson Wentz going to be out? There's been rumors that October. There's rumors that it might be not as long as that. I personally feel like we'll see Carson Wentz for that Titans game. I think that's week 4 at Tennessee. I feel like maybe we'll get a little hype that he could play against the Colts, but I feel like all along, if he wasn't going to be ready for the starter, I felt like that Tennessee game will be the game that comes back, and that's going to be a big one, man, because, we got Tampa, we got Indy. I mean, looking at how hard the NFC is, those have to be wins for Philly. Philly can't slip up in those games. Those are insta wins on paper. You got to make those insta wins into actual wins, especially with how competitive the NFC is going to be this year. So, you can't just look past them, but I'm still saying that big game, though, that real test, the change in talent against Tennessee, that's when we need Nick Foles to, just usher in Carson Wentz, let him back in. So what do you guys feel about this game, man? Do you agree, disagree with my ratings? Are you hype? Did the terrible penalties? At least the end was exciting. The fourth quarter was really good. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. That does it for me today, guys. Huskies episode out tomorrow. And see you on the next one. It's your first time stopping by. Eagles fans, subscribe, man. Eagles content all year long. C4, I'm out. Peace.